This week, we have Casey Haugen of Crux Cigars. He's the vice president. We have Joe D. finally in-house. I am hosting the show today. It's a privilege and an honor to host this episode. It's episode 250 of Stogie Geeks. We are interviewing Casey from Crux Cigars. Second segment, we are going to talk about social media and cigars and some of the stuff that has been coming up and Stogies of the Week. Stay tuned.
This is a Security Weekly production. Broadcasting live from Villiger North American Studios, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geeks Show. A hat tip, can we play that?
Yeah, one more time.
Can I hear a...
Yes!
Yeah!
Enjoy the dirt.
Guests and friends here in studio, including a regular cast of characters, Mr. Joe Hollywood to my right.
How are you?
That's awesome. Joe D's here. Rain Man's here. What's going on, Joe D?
Roundtable discussions.
Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo.
Welcome to episode 250 of the Stogie Geeks. I am your host this week, Joe Hozempa. I have co-host finally back in studio, Joe D. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, man. Happy to be back.
Pirate flag's been raised, and I raided the humidor, and it's always a good time when I get a chance to sit in the seat. It's a privilege and an honor to host the show. Again, this is episode 250, so hats off to Paul and the staff, and what a great job that they've done, and to the next 250 podcasts that are coming up. I'm looking forward to participating in them, and 2018 looks like it's going to have some good stuff. So,
cheers, man.
I'm excited. Stay tuned on the stogiegeeks.com website. There's going to be a lot of updates. Also, Facebook page, Instagram, all that electronic extravaganza that we have going on. Today, right now, we have a guest who is joining us. We have Casey Haugen of Crux Cigars. He's the vice president. How are you, sir?
Casey, what's up, man?
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for having me, and congratulations on episode 250. That's a big milestone for you.
Yeah, I remember.
Thank you.
I remember like watching the first couple episodes, and then seeing the show grow and everything, and then I got a chance to be a part of it. It's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah,
so
cool. Congratulations.
Yeah. Let's get right into it. Crux Cigars. You guys came out on the scene a couple years back, right? 3, 4, 5 years ago, really? Am I off on my timeline?
Yeah, we came onto the scene at the 2014 IPCPR.
Okay.
Was where we launched our first core products. So basically 3+ years we've been plugging away and having a great time doing it.
Mm-hmm. I've had some of the original stuff, which we'll get into, and then now what I've noticed over the past, say, year or so, you've introduced some new lines as well. So I want to talk about some of that stuff there too.
Correct. Yeah. Originally in 14 we came out with 6 blends, which was our core, which was Passport, Bull and Bear, Classic, Skeeters, and Nymphomaniac in two blends. And then since then, we've come out with actually another 6. And, we're really always in the motivation to, find newer and better and more premium tobaccos to find the best that we can over and over and continue, finding, the best quality we can and continue to move forward with some new products that we think people will enjoy. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I've had some of the original stuff. Joe, have you?
The Nymphomaniac is absolutely one of my favorite nines.
That's a great stick.
Delicious stick for days. Perfect size format. It's incredible.
Yeah, we're going to take some time and get into those blends. But first, why don't you give us a history as to how you guys came about, where the factory is, what some of the projects were in the beginning, and how you're kind of morphing into where you are now.
Well, it started long before me. My cousin Jeff been in the tobacco business for 25 years. He started as a retailer in Minneapolis, and he's had stores throughout Minneapolis area since then. And then I started working for him in around 2007. In the off season during baseball, I'd go and work at his store and help him out in family business. So, and then After I was done doing that whole deal, I moved out to Vegas, and Jeff and I had talked about, doing a manufacturing company. And he had a lot of things he had to put in place for it, and I needed some real-life experience post-college. And so what we did is we reconvened a few years later, and then finally got to the point of Crux Cigars launching in 2014. And then predominantly our cigars are Nicaraguan tobacco. We use the factory, Plasencia factory in Esteli, La Cateto de Tobacco, which is their premium cigar, their highest quality factory. We have our own people inside. And we chose that factory for a lot of reasons. Just making sure you guys are still there. You kind of froze on the video.
We're good. Yep, we got you. We're good.
Okay, perfect. We chose that factory for a lot of reasons. Jeff was down there. Jeff spent, 3 years down there, once or twice a month. I mean, 30, 40, 50 trips, heading down there and doing a SWOT analysis basically on every factory, trying to find, what would be the best partner for us. And when he went through all the factories in the Dominican and Nicaraguan and Honduran factories, the partnership we have with Plasencia has been just a great partnership for us. Obviously, we know they have some of the best tobaccos in the world, if not some of the most tobacco in the world, which gives us a large variety. And they also let us do our thing. We kind of run our own factory inside with their people, and they let us kind of do our thing. We have our own quality control measures. We are, a small boutique company for them. But we have a lot of hands-on scenarios, but they also let us bring in our own tobaccos. So it's been a great partnership thus far.
Mm-hmm. Have you had the opportunity to work in the retail shop? I missed that part. No?
Yes, I worked in Jeff's retail shops for, a 2-year period, not constantly, because I'd go play baseball in the summer, and then I'd be with him so I was probably actually working retail for about 18 months, 9 months each time. Okay.
Tobacco tax is high where you guys are from, huh?
Originally, it was low over the next 5-year periods. Don't quote me on the exact numbers, but it went from like 25 to 50 to then it was up to 95%.
Yes.
Recently, but with the new legislation this year, Minnesota luckily got a cap put on that, so it's currently at 50 cents, and the goal is to keep it there.
There you go.
It seems like they're mimicking the Rhode Island, Connecticut, and some of the other states as well. We have a 50-cent cap tax there. I remember when Crux came new to the scene and they visited a local tobacconist. As someone who used to own a retail shop, the first thing I asked is, "Whoa, where are you from again?" And he told me, and I says, "You guys have a really high tax. It must be." It must have been like a big hurdle for you guys to finally get that 50-cent cap tax there, for sure.
Yeah, they originally got $3.50 cap, which is still a ton of tax.
For sure.
But a lot of hard work, a lot of lobbying through the Minnesota people on behalf of like Jeff and his team up there in Minneapolis at Tobacco Grove. They've done a lot to do with it, and they've been around the industry, and this year they got it to that 50 cents, and that's the goal, is to keep it there.
Right. Thank you for telling me that. That was just for my information purposes only. I love to kind of get the business aspect of
absolutely.
that, for sure. Crux, interesting logo. Your box presentation is fascinating. Your 5-packs that when you initially launched, that gave the consumers an option within the box separation, the Go Crux yourself saying. Take us through all of that. To me, it's a very fascinating brand.
Well, Mark Dahm is our designer and a partner of ours. He comes up with all of our, he's the graphic designer. He's the marketing genius behind all that stuff. And obviously, with information from Jeff and input from everybody else, they come up with these great logos. I can't take credit for the Crux logo, but it's eye-catching. It's great. The whole packaging idea kind of came about because retailers first. You can make expensive boxes that make your cigars more expensive. You can make expensively large boxes that take up more shelf space. So originally, we came out with a box that was a 20-count box, 4 or 5 packs in a box, but it's very basic. You can read it, vertical or horizontally, because it wants to be friendly on the shelf for the retailers, because we want to have the cigars on the shelf versus let's put the best little masterpieces out there that they're going to either rip the covers off or, dismember. So they fit them on their shelves. So I always tell the retailers, we'll make the coolest boxes in the world if they could all get together and get the same shelves.
Right.
If they could do that for us, that would be great. But it's impossible for that, obviously. So we try to make a box that's universal for a lot of shelves. Started with the 4 or 5 packs, so you can sell them 3 points of purchase. But also we've come out with a lot of 10 count boxes as well. Because 10 count boxes, that guy can get a box price or box purchase, and he gets to take the box instead of having to commit to 20 sticks at a time. But we like the 10 count, the 20 counts. We just want to make anything as easy for the retailers to sell the product as possible.
Great point.
Yep.
Let's talk about the retailers. How are you in regards to online price protection? Are you retailers first? I would assume the answer would be yes, coming from that you came from a retailer.
Yes, we are absolutely retailers first. We do have some online presence, but we do protect the prices. I mean, we wouldn't be able to be in brick and mortar as a small young company if all we did was, let it be discounted online. So that's absolutely not our business model at all. It's brick and mortar first, being behind our Crux retail partners. We need to stand behind those first and foremost. But we do know there is obviously business to be done in areas that don't have, a lot of either great retailers or we just can't cover everywhere. So, to open up a ton of retailers across the country takes a lot of quality production, continual success. So we've taken it a slow step. So having a few online presences that you can check out, all of our retail partners at cruxcigars.com, and you can see where all the cigars are sold. But to be able to get those in the consumer's hands is the most important thing, but to keep that price protected at our MSRP. So that is definitely something that's, very forefront in our minds when we use anybody that's not brick and mortar that has a larger reach than, their area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good to know. Sometimes that's not often the case with other vendors. So,
right.
That's good because I really think that, the brick and mortar themselves have faced a bunch of challenges, and the last challenge that they need is a company undercutting on them.
That's what the last stronghold should be for sure.
Yes.
I'm fascinated with the point that 12 sticks in 3.5 years time, that's no small feat. And the, if you could elaborate on that, the decision to come out that hot and heavy, obviously the few shops I've seen you in, it's a legitimate presence, and that captures you right out of the gate as soon as you're walking in the humidor.
Well, the decision to come out with 6 blends, day one was because we wanted to come out with a cigar company. We just didn't want to come out with a cigar. We wanted to be a presence. There was a lot of time spent by Jeff and, Mark with the designs and, getting everything put in place to launch a company and not say, oh, we got one cigar, let's go with it. So there was, a 3-year plus period spent building that short portfolio to launch the cigars. And finally, when we were ready in 2014, we wanted to be a cigar company. And really coming out with another 6 blends since then, that's 2 a year basically. And the FDA kind of forced our hand a little bit to bring out a few more things a little faster than we wanted to. And so we were just, that wasn't something we could know going into it that long ago when we started. So, we had to play the hand we were dealt, and we continued to put ourselves in a position that was going to make us successful. But no, yeah, we've come up with a lot of things, and like we look at it as we want to make, constantly great quality cigars, continuing to make them, better, year after year, as well as consistent. And the fact is, we look at the market and we find that obviously trends change. And if we don't change with them, we won't be successful. So we want to continue to give the consumer what they want to smoke.
I got to tell you, the website is clean, it's easy, and the descriptions on each cigar, it's mouth-watering. I want to dive into the screen and get after it right then and there. And I'm excited to see where you guys go, in the future as well.
You have any questions?
I'm sure, yeah.
I have tons, so if you want me to go, I'll just keep firing, right? I'll just keep firing questions. Take us through the original blends, visiting the factory. I'm assuming that you have been there. If you can give the Stogie Geeks listener kind of, the kind of pace, a visual, the best way you can of the factory, what it's like, what are some of your concerns as a vice president, what are some of the concerns that maybe Jeff has, and then from the original blends, and then take us through the ones that you've launched just a couple years ago.
It's a loaded question. So yeah, I've been at the factory many times. I'm down there for all of our productions, all of our final checks, all of our inspections. We have to be hands-on. And going into what is our biggest concerns, our biggest concern is continual quality. Having that American quality as standard of products that American consumers demand. And that's why we have to be completely hands-on when it comes to quality control, consistency, quality of tobacco, getting the best tobaccos in the world. You have to start with the best tobacco you can find. And that's what a lot of it is finding the best tobacco. And, the Plasencia family has a lot of the greatest tobacco, but not all of it, but they have a lot. So what we do, our biggest concerns is continually get that product to our consumer standards. So we're there for, rolling of the cigars, packing of the cigars. We're in the box factories. We're everywhere. So that's the biggest concern, is to continue to have, year after year of quality control. And then with our blends, we launched the 6 blends in 2014. Predominantly Nicaraguan tobacco, made in Nicaragua. Some outliers there on some of the things we use for some different wrappers and some different fillers, but predominantly Nicaraguan tobacco. They have 4 great regions of tobacco in Nicaragua, and they just have a lot of variants of different flavors in all 4 of those regions of tobacco. And it gives us a variety right there. We've pulled in some other varieties, especially with some of the newer stuff. So the old core lines, it was 6 blends, and we had 11 facings because we were blending to size. So we didn't have 8 SKUs per size. So we had a lot of blends, but not a lot of SKUs, which was a great way to start because we could get all 11 facings on a shelf and have a nice presence. But over the last few years, we launched the Crux Guild, which was our fullest body, which is a great cigar that's doing absolutely fantastic for us as long as we can continue making them, because we're selling every cigar we make. So, it's always, it's a good problem to have, but also, it's a lot more phone calls from, angry consumers. No, I'm kidding. Nobody gets too angry. The cigar business is a fickle industry where, we can't really control the growing seasons. We can't always control everything in our powers. So, the Guild is our fullest body offering, which we came out with last year, and it's done quite well for us. And then we had the Limitada PB5, which was a limited version, sourcing out the best tobaccos in the world that we can find. And that was a small batch that is called an Engañoso wrapper, which is in Esteli, Criollo wrapper. That it was a small batch, but being a small company, we can make limited stuff small batch. So we can find the best tobaccos if they've been laying around, like we did for that one. And that one used with that PB5 will come out with our 3rd edition there, as well as we continue to, use what's been a success for us. The Limitada was huge success. Got a lot of accolades across a lot of publication stuff, different blogs, good reviews. So that's that tobacco. It's a Cuban box press, correct? Yep. It's a 5 3/4 by 54 Cuban box press. So we've actually been sourcing out after we had the success with that wrapper, because that wrapper is by now it's over probably 10 years old. We had had them use and grow some more tobacco with that seed a few years ago, and we were actually down in the factory a few weeks ago looking at the Palones aging. So it won't be the same Engañoso from 10 years ago, but we have more to try to make some more limited options. So we've got some good tobaccos that have been very successful for us with that. And then our newest release that's coming out here soon. Jeff, I, and Mark are all heading down to Central America next week, and we are going to be doing the final inspection on our Crux our Crux Epicure, which is in Ecuadorian Connecticut, that we're really excited about. That was one of the cigars that we got on the books before the FDA last year for the 2016 show. Got it out, marketed across the country, but didn't have the production numbers to continually sell it through all of our retailers. And now we do. So we relaunched it again. I shouldn't say relaunch it. I should say we reintroduced it to the consumers at the IPCPR show this year. And I'm really looking forward to the Epicure coming out here in the short future here.
Nice.
Nice.
regional coverage in regards to some of the reps. What are some of the challenges that you have when you go into a retail store, you get it? What I find in the retail business, in the retail cigar business, is that, especially if it's in a cigar shop, you don't want it to get lost in the humidor. How do you face the challenge of going up against the classic facings, the ones that have been around for a while, and staying not only in front of the retailer, but also in front of the consumer?
Very good question, actually. First and foremost, we don't look at all retailers as just places to sell cigars. We actually look at them as partners, because we know we're a small company and we need to create a pull product, and we need partners that will push the product for us. So education about our products, like you mentioned earlier, the Crux webpage has a lot of back-end action of information, pictures, images, basically anything we can do to get people to be educated about our products. And we travel around the country. We have some territory brokers, and we're always looking to expand that as production allows. But the biggest thing is to find the right people that like our products, because if they like it, it's easier to sell it.
Absolutely.
And we're not trying to be in a million retailers. I mean, we want to be in the right quality retail partners. And, we find the people that have the passion like we do to sell good quality tobacco, and educating them, letting them enjoy our cigars. They want to sell our cigars when they have that relationship with us. So that's really important. The second part of that question, what else do we do with our consumers, is we have a huge social media presence.
That's where I was going to go with that next year. Absolutely.
Social media is absolutely a large part of our success, from Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We make it definitely a forefront effort on getting the consumers the information of new product launches, where we're going to be, retailers, keeping Crux cigars fresh in their minds. And really what we want to do is snapshot their mind for a few moments a day and just remind them about Crux cigars. So we all have Instagrams. We have our company Instagram. Mark, Jeff, and I all have our social ones that we all use to help promote our own personalities as well, because it's a small group. We're basically like a family here. Even though Jeff is actually my family, Mark and whoever else helps the people around the country. But, being in front of people in different territories where I can't cover right now, or even maybe next week, then we use social media as just a reminder of who we are.
So this format to bridge that gap is a precursor to, segment number 2. We're going to delve into some of that, and that's the way of the future, man. That's the way to go.
Yeah, social media has been a huge game changer, both for the boutique cigar companies and for both the classic facings, also for the retailer shops, getting the information out. When I owned the retail shop in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was there were social media wasn't, it was like MySpace was like becoming new, and it was like kind of like a band thing, right. There wasn't,
you still have MySpace? Still use your MySpace?
No.
Well played, sir. Well played.
No. I use
if a guy referenced MySpace, you got to call him on it.
No. But I did use it 2 years after it became popular, because I did go to Berklee College of Music and had some stuff up there. And,
I was going to say, did you have your band on there?
No, I was never a band guy. You know what I mean? I did some subs with some people, and it was cool, but that's a lot of commitment to being a band. You know what I mean? It's a lot of commitment, but that's another podcast. Maybe we'll start episode 1 of Joe's life, right? Or something. But no, I think that with social media, some cigar companies deliver it better than others, and I would put you in that category where you really seem to engage your users who post stuff about you. You do the repost and all of that stuff, and I think it's a good valid point. You have to build top of mind awareness in order for the customer or the consumer to now see your product on the shelf and say, hey, that was what I saw. Let me try some of the new stuff, or let me rekindle with some of the original stuff. I think it's very important, and I think a lot of companies might not take advantage of that.
Not to be vulgar, but the clear cut, the give a shit factor with Crux is high. That's you guys clearly care what the consumers think and bombarding social media and keeping it going, and beautiful.
Yeah, I have 2 more questions for you, and I'm going to get them out because I want a day in the life of the factory. Like, you wake up, because if I was in a factory, I'd wake up, have my cup of Joe. I'd look at the scenery. I would at least have a cigar and say, I need a quick half hour just to take this in. You know what I mean?
I need this.
I would take like my union break every hour. Just to take in the scenery. But like, how many hours do you personally, as the vice president, spend in the factory? Take us through a typical day. What are some of the things that you're looking for? Obviously it's production quality, but, just take us through a simple day in the factory. First of all, do you have a cup of Joe and check out the scenery? You must.
Of course. Okay. There's always coffee. You can't go anywhere without coffee. And like you said, a cup of Joe. So you get, the factory opens at 7 a.m. I usually get there, about 8 o'clock. Let them get settled before we get in, and we go in, and it's first of all and foremost, it's still a family, it's still a community there, and part of that is having a good rapport, with the people there. So being social, being there, being friendly, but that changes real fast after about 8-10 because we've got a lot of work to do, and we have a lot of places to be. So a typical factory week, it's 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. We're there. We check, how's tobacco for the future aging? How is the production currently being rolled? What are production levels in aging? As well as, as hand checking boxes, going through everything that we have our point people that are our last, resort that do all the quality control, making sure their quality is up to standard. And we go through a lot of different processes with aging of the tobacco, rolling of the tobacco, packing of the tobacco, trying to make everything easier in our boxes always, making sure our boxes are quality. It's a grind from basically 8:15 until 7 o'clock. There is that time we take lunch, we have some coffee, we're smoking cigars, and it's a lifestyle. But, they work at such a fast pace in the factory. I mean, they are rolling, hundreds of cigars a day. They're working on other people's projects. Since we don't have our own factory, you're taking bits and pieces of, other people's days. So they do a great job for us. They always give us a couple of our great point people that are 2 of our biggest reasons that we have some success down there are the people that we work with in the tobacco that they sell us. So, it's, when Jeff's there, he blends, finding new tobaccos for new projects for next year or even the year after. What are going to be the growing seasons? How are they this year? What tobaccos are we going to be available? Do we have the tobacco we need set aside for next year? So, in a short period of 4 or 5 days, you accomplish a lot in about 11 hours a day. I mean, there's a lot of fun and there's a lot of work. As well as meeting, other industry people, checking out other factories, seeing what they're doing, checking out other manufacturers, checking out other box factories. So basically taking in that whole immersed culture of Esteli, where our cigars are made. It's a really unique experience. And if you haven't been on one of those safaris or the tours, it's definitely a once in a lifetime kind of thing.
It sounds like it. It's definitely on my bucket list. Absolutely. For sure.
Yep.
You joined Crux because you needed some real-world experience. Your words, not mine. What are some of the challenges, points, like if you knew then what you now know now? What are some of the challenges that you faced, especially being a vice president? I mean, there's a lot of people who I'm sure that have to report to you for sure.
I like to think they report to me.
But I can't do administrative stopgaps, right? I can't.
So when that conversation we were talking about was that transition from when I was working for Jeff to when I moved to Las Vegas, and I actually got a lot of experience there. I was fortunate enough to become a operations manager for a golf company. So I got to learn a lot before I was thrown right into this. So when Jeff had things to do with Crux to get it ready for, you know, his SWOT analysis in the factory, I needed to, you know, I had a business degree, and then I played minor league baseball. So I needed to grow up and learn how to manage, you know, other people as well as product inventory, distribution. And I got 5 years of that in Vegas. And it was awesome to do in another industry that I love, is the golf industry. That's one of my passions, is playing golf. So I got a lot of real world experience, you know, with failures and successes. I mean, we had a great small business there that we grew exponentially while I was there, which was awesome. And I got to learn through some failures and successes there. So coming to Crux, of course, there's more failures and more successes. Very similar avenues of small business, but just different products and a little bit, you know, different position. Now we're in the manufacturing versus just the retail and distribution. So things that I wish we would have known, you know, back then. Well, first and foremost, I wish I could see into the future and find out more about FDA before we started and knew what we were getting ourselves into, because that was an obstacle that we've overcome, and to this day we're stronger for it. But, you know, looking back at things that I wish we could have done, it's just looking at, you know, the people around us and, you know, knowing where to put your effort first. And it always has to be with the people. If you don't put your effort into people, that could be the workers, that could be the rollers of cigars, the box makers, the consumers, the retailers. You know, putting our most effort always into the people is going to be why we've been successful over the last 3 years, because we have some of the greatest tobacco in the world. We have some of the greatest rollers in the world down in, you know, Nicaragua at our disposal to find. And the fact is, like, when people are happy doing things for you, they're going to be happy helping you succeed. And in order for us to do it, I don't roll cigars. I'm not a cigar roller. I can't roll the cigar you're smoking. I mean, I could. It wouldn't be nearly as quality and nearly as, you know, tasty as the one you're smoking currently. But with that reputation and that responsibility that we had to learn about each and every one of our people, that was probably the biggest thing that I've learned from Jeff after he spent all that time down there.
Do you have a question?
Sort of all-encompassing. Just real quick, my own personal favorite on the line, the Nymphomaniac, one buncher and two rollers for that given stick. If you could just elaborate on that particular stick, if you can. I find it fascinating, ridiculous amount of flavor and tremendous smoking experience. It's up there.
Yeah, the Nymphomaniac is one of those cigars that is, just like you said, it's got a ton of flavor. It's a great cigar in two blends, the natural and the dark. And the reason we only use one pair to do that is because it is a 7x33 ring gauge cigar. Right. It's an old Cuban-shaped Nympha, N-I-N-F-A, and then we added a double Perfecto. So to train more people to do that cigar that was trial and error in the beginning before we even launched the product, to making sure that cigar could be made, because you know, Lanceros are 7x38 or 40. Now this is by 33, and it is the single hardest cigar to produce in the factory. I believe when we launched it, and for the first while, we were the only regular production Nymphas in the world coming out of Nicaragua. I'm not sure if that's still the case, but either way, we're one of the only people that are doing that, because we wanted to tie some history back to, you know, the Cuban lifestyle where cigars originated. And so we've tied a lot of our blends and brands and sizes into some Cuban historical references. So that was one of them. And the Nymphomaniac was actually the first cigar we sold. Excuse me. Nice. That came out just before the show, and you know, people were saying these guys launched a cigar company and came out with a 7x33 double Perfecto. Well, we knew that wasn't going to be where we made the gross of our money and with the production, but we knew people would talk about it. And just like Mark and Jeff had those great ideas of marketing the company, I mean, you know, letting people talk about different things you're doing, always looking for something that's unusual, that'll keep people in the forefront.
I remember when it first came out and people in the shops were like, this cigar is so good. Why don't they make it in a different size? And I'm like, because that's why it's good.
Very unique, and there's certainly a market for it.
It's like you want to, you know. Before we end with the future of Crux, I got to take some time out. It's not every day here on Stogie Geeks or that I get a chance to talk to a ball player. What's it like to play ball? For those listeners who don't know, you played on X team. What was it?
I played on 5 teams in 2.5 years, so it's
Okay.
good enough to be there, but not good enough to stay put.
The highest level was Shreveport.
Highest level would have been with Fargo and Winnipeg.
Okay.
Shreveport was an American Association. I played in the Frontier League, the American Association League, and the Northern League. They're all independent minor leagues. The highest rated one was the American Association League, which was Shreveport. But before that, the Northern League was rated higher, which since then they've combined. So the American Association League, and you play 96 games in like 110 days. I mean, you're on the road every day.
Wild.
You play 13 out of 14 days. We weren't as fortunate because of the level I played at to have planes. So we were on buses.
Right.
Yeah.
We did fly from Winnipeg to Calgary because we traveled as far west as Calgary, being based out of Winnipeg or even Fargo when I played in that league. But I've spent many of nights sleeping in an overhead compartment. I have, found as much space as possible. I mean, I was always the smallest guy on the team. I mean, I'm 5'9". I played at 185 pounds, and I was by far the smallest guy on the team as a catcher. So I got more room than everybody else to at least lay down, relax, and drive from, Winnipeg, Canada, to Kansas City. Those were great long 22-hour bus trips.
Plus, the catcher controls the team. I don't care what anyone says.
Being a two-sport athlete with the football and the baseball, was there ever a thought of, chasing down the football dream as well, or was it?
There was actually never a thought of chasing the baseball dream. They found me. I graduated from college and got a call about a week after graduation saying, "We want to sign you." I had, lined up a job with another company. I was graduating college, thought I was going to be in a professional world, momentarily. And thankfully, I didn't have to. I got the opportunity to go play baseball for 2.5 years, which put me into the path of doing something different, something which I loved. Gave me the ability to, travel all over the country and all over Canada, experiencing, life on your own outside of central Minnesota, doing something you love for little to no money. But I wouldn't have traded it for the world because it, gave me the option to see what else is out there. Otherwise, I'd still probably be living in Minnesota, and I wouldn't have, had my blood acclimate to, warmer weathers, and I would be cold today.
Being that Crux is a family business and family-oriented, be remiss if we didn't mention legendary college coach Jerry Haugen. He just had a field named after him.
Yeah, I
recently.
heard they named the field after.
He's kind of a big deal in small parts of towns. He's been a college baseball coach and football coach for 40 plus years.
Unreal.
He's been my idol. He's the winningest defensive coordinator in all football history because St. John's has the winningest coach of all history, and he's been there for the 40 years of that. He's also very successful baseball coach. He's won many conference, had many players drafted. But yeah, they named they just redid the baseball field this year, and they named it Haugen Field in Collegeville, Minnesota. And we honored him with a great day that day, as well as he got to throw out the first pitch at a Twins game earlier this year.
Solid.
When they honored him when they were actually playing his second favorite team, and I'll say second because I won't let him say that the Yankees are his favorite team behind the Twins.
There you go.
Nice. Before we let you go, future of Crux.
Future of Crux, man, it's bright. We're excited. The things we've learned, the people we've met, the tobaccos we've used, all of those things, we're really looking forward to, coming out with, the Crux Epic here, which we're really excited about. That's shortly going to be hitting shelves. And it's just finding those right tobaccos that Jeff can blend together. And he makes such, unique ideas when he's blending. And, the future is so bright because of the obstacles that we've overcome over the last few years, with FDA being the largest one, as well as being a new company in the industry, trying to really grab some foothold. I am really excited to have the opportunity to be a part of it, just with my cousin, with our family, with Mark, with all the people of Crux Cigars. We're really looking forward to it, and it's really getting a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, your business acumen, I think, from your descriptions, absolutely positively spot on. Stay on course. You guys are doing awesome. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the interview. I appreciate you coming here on Stogie Geeks, giving the two Joes a chance to interview you and learn more about your product, for sure. So thank you.
Awesome. I'm really, really happy to be here. Unfortunately, I couldn't see you the whole time. It's frozen. So I've seen the same picture of your two great mugs. One stuck that way, one stuck that way.
We'll email you the link if you can share it all on the social media and all that stuff.
I'll definitely get the link, but I really also would like to congratulate you and Stogie Geeks on episode 250. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of shows. That's a commitment of excellence right there, and you guys have a great thing, and we're looking forward to future relationship with you guys and growing that as getting the information to Stogie Geeks when we have the new things coming out, and we're really looking forward to it. And we appreciate you guys having us on with Crux Cigars. Check out cruxcigars.com and go Crux yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to be right back with social media and cigars. Stay tuned.
Duran Premium Cigars, one of the fastest-growing boutique cigar companies, provides smokers a portal into the old Cuban tradition of the perfect balance and the lost art of progressive flavor construction. Roberto Pelayo Duran began his career in tobacco over 2 decades ago in Havana, where his reputation grew within Cuban circles. The creation of Duran Premium Cigars has given Roberto the platform to introduce a series of cigars that offer the quality and construction that he perfected while in Cuba. Brands include the ultra-premium Roberto P. Duran signature line, Azan, Nea, and Baracoa. Duran uses a seed-to-humidor approach, as all of their tobacco is grown in their farms and rolled in their factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. Rollers have been carefully chosen to carry out Roberto's precise method to ensure progressive flavor in each cigar. Duran Premium Cigars invites you to make their premium your standard.
Welcome back to the Stogie Geeks, episode 250. Here we are. I am your host this week, Joe Hozempa, or dubbed on the show, Joe Hollywood. And to my right, we're at a camera, right? To my right is Joe D.
Back in the mix.
Who's back in the mix here at Stogie Geeks. It's good to have you.
Beyond stoked to be back, man.
If you're just tuning into this segment, last segment we had an awesome interview with Vice President of Crux Cigars. So log on to stogiegeeks.com, check it out. Stay tuned. Also, we got some cool stuff happening here for 2018. So log on to our social media platforms. Hey, there you go. See, I'm getting there. Our social media platforms, and stay tuned with some stuff that is coming up. But right now, this is the Stogie Geek segment, and Joe D and I are going to take some time out and talk about, and it actually was an excellent lead-in from the interview, how he mentioned it, right. not knowing obviously what we're going to talk about,
right.
And that is the presence of social media.
I think because it's so relevant, and that's every day. The cigar culture, very social media driven. It's all over the place, very accessible now, and get the the product and all the info and the personalities, get it out there.
Yeah, it's certainly a game changer. I can tell you from a business perspective, social media in any industry, any industry could really have this conversation. But obviously, we're talking about social media and the presence it has here in the cigar industry. And what I like fascinating from a consumer perspective is now we can get an inside look at the brands that we like to associate with.
At the ready to go.
You know, so
package up properly and easily toggle through on the websites, and just it's all encompassing. It's an exciting time in the cigar world.
Right. What are some of your thoughts on that?
I'm loving it. I'm loving the the athlete and celebrity interaction, the various cigar vixens and personalities that are out there and driving the hype. It's incredible. It's fun. It's a fun time.
Mm-hmm. I think business-wise, it allows the boutique cigar companies to be on a level playing field
for sure,
with the classic facings.
Right.
I've often toggled through those meetings all the time. And also, I think it gives regions a reason to get their due diligence. And what I mean by that is, 10 years ago, you didn't really talk about Nicaraguan. Maybe it might be 12. I might be off on my timeline, right? But as I often am on a lot of things. But 10 years ago, the Nicaraguan conversation when it came to cigars and the types of brands and blends that come out of that region, right. Now it's a big factor. And I think with social media, it allows us to get out there. Not that they always haven't been there, but now it's more in our face in regards to consumers getting specific knowledge as to the region of the cigar, maybe a potential marketing story. Love the stories and how they develop, but also really give us a insider look as to what people are doing, because there is a certain feel that you get when you're consuming premium tobacco,
right?
As opposed to some of the other products that are out there. But when you're talking premium cigars or potentially pipe tobacco, or luxury tobacco, as I think it's does, because for you to sit down and take time out of your busy day and meet potentially new friends, either in a brick and mortar shop or go back and visit with an old friend or a business acquaintance or family member or whichever, you know, it's often happens that victory is usually celebrated with a cigar.
It is. It's
you know what I mean? You know, I guess I celebrate daily. But you know,
what better way to do it than celebrate daily for sure?
Exactly.
Maybe a couple times over too.
You know, you know, you always gotta celebrate the little victories. But you know, when we were talking about the topic, some of the things that stuck out in my head was when NBA. I don't really follow basketball too much, but when the NBA won the championship, they lit up a Yaxel cigar, right? And again, you know, recently with the World Series,
Houston Astros.
You can say the name, I can't, right? Right? It was tough to get by. I'm very, you know, on a side note, very, very shocked that even the Yankees got to where they got to and what they did. And could you imagine? Because I really think the way they played Dodgers, they could have probably done it. But anyway, right? I digress. Different podcast, right? Different podcast. But, you know, when the, what was the name of that team?
Houston Astros.
When they celebrated, the recent Facebook media post that's been out is they celebrated with the Leaf by Oscar, the Oscar cigar. And I mean, it blew up all over Facebook. That guy got married. That blew up all over Facebook. But let's talk about the industry, right? You know, it's like one of those things where it's like, wow, like, you know, it brought the premium tobacco discussion through non-people who are on non-consumers who are on social media to see, hey, wow, this guy celebrated a with a cigar.
Mainstream, the ESPN, everything else. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I thought that was fascinating. Coming from the radio and television world, how when they're showing clips and whatnot, there's a whole gig when it comes to tobacco.
We call it, it's a game changer.
And rules. But again, social media, they can, you know, now we walk around with our phones and companies have the ability to produce a video or a snippet of a video or however they want to technologically portray themselves and get us right there. That's one element that I think, if for all of you cigar vendors out there who listen to the show, I think us consumers would love to see that, like a Facebook Live in the factory, because you know, like Casey said in the previous interview, going to the factory is a experience that you, if you're the diehard cigar person, you got to experience that.
For sure. Week in and week out, we try to have these various cigar personalities paint us that picture, but it doesn't do it with the full diligence that Justice said that it does. Maybe a small glimpse with a video, you know, live videos here and there.
Melo did a great job when he was on the Stogie Geeks. I mean, he even talked about like the non-tobacco plants that are out, and it's like, you know, I was sitting there enjoying the. I was sitting there, and I'm just like, yeah, this is a good smoke, and I'm just picturing myself in that thing, and I honestly
set the table.
Yeah, and I honestly think that consumers would get into that. You know, like when, you know, Casey, if you're still listening, you know, when you're the vice president of Crux Cigars and you're down there, you know, take some pictures. I mean, stuff like that. It fascinates consumers, especially not only in the luxury tobacco field here, like premium cigars, but especially in craft beer, in wine industry, in spirits industry, like the consumers want more.
That behind-the-scenes peek.
You know what I mean? They always want more. And again, craft beer has been relatively new to the scene. When I say new, 12 years. You know, and they're really putting in a dent into the bigger manufacturers. You know, if you follow the bouncing ball from a business model perspective, craft beer is doing that to the bigger, more mass-produced beer companies, the non-microbrews companies, okay? That's what Nicaragua is doing to the industry. You know what I mean? I know there might be some hate mail, joeh@stogiegeeks.com. You can send it. You know, why you always smoke Nicaragua, right? You know, it's not the only country that produces cigar. I know, I get it, right? But what I'm saying is that they put a dent into that, and it gets more exposure. And I don't understand why a company wouldn't want to take more advantage of that stuff.
I'm a numbers geek, and I'd certainly be fascinated with finding out the return numbers on, the companies that are really pushing the social media envelope and ones that are not. The Tatuajes, the World, Southern Drawers, the Cruxes, the La Roars, all these companies are really hitting it hard. Mm-hmm. And and there's plenty of companies that are out there that late to the game. And I wonder if it's too late, or they can bounce back and jump in, because those certain companies that are really hitting it, they've solidified pretty good stakes so far.
That's a good point. To your point, business-wise, is it too late? Absolutely not.
No, too late.
I think that social media in a blanket is here to stay. Mm-hmm.
No timetable to bridge that gap.
I think. Excuse me.
No timetable as far as bridging that gap, and then bringing up the rear from being dormant as far as social media goes to the guys that are living it every day.
No, you just got to start. You got to start, because organically, that's exactly what it is. I wouldn't even begin if I was on another podcast that didn't have a technical side.
Okay.
I would begin to organically tell you how the social media thing works, but then I know that there's a bunch of Stogie Geeks producers that also produce a technical show, and I know I'm going to get butchered if I even walk down that path, right? Yep. So it's one of those things. But no, I think if they were to jump in the social media mix now, organically, they would be able to have more of a presence, have more of a following, and have more of a capability to build top-of-mind awareness. That's ultimately what it is.
Right.
See, traditional advertising, when you talk from a business perspective, is all about building top-of-mind awareness, right? So social media, again, Casey had expressed that over there. It's about getting, his words, not mine, crux in the minds of the consumers.
Right.
So that, yet again, for when they go out. So
even that daily snippet, as he said, the seed's planted, and I said, I'm jonesing for stick A or B. It's out there. It's on your mind. You hit up the shops, and it speaks to you.
Or how it works. There's going to be a Stogie Geeks listener who watches this podcast and Googles the Nymphomaniac or the Bull and Bear or any of the lines that we spoke about in this specific example, and then they're going to try it. And again, it's yet another exposure. So the business model does work with social media. It's just a matter of how the business wants to brand itself and then continue it. And then what I like more is, and then social media is exactly what it is. It's social. So you have to engage your audience. Some brands are standoffish with that.
Yep.
Some brands, there might not be as much engagement as some of the other brands. Some brands have their own app. That might be a little bit over the top too.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Because not everyone is technological. But if you look at the numbers, not to turn this into like a business show, right?
Next level.
But if you look at the numbers, it's staggering how many active people use social media. So why wouldn't you use that presence? Now, they're just saying that
just another resource.
And then I just think it's just going to be another platform. So in other words, right now, someone might flock to a Twitter, a Facebook, or an Instagram. 2-3 years from now, someone's going to invent something super cool because it's super techie, and you can do more. And we live in a generation of, I'm sure you remember rabbit ears.
Oh yeah.
To cable to now Netflix, right? And now you remember 56K or the dial-up modem, right? To only having a couple internet sites on there, and then it blows up. Like
leaps and bounds in such a short period of time.
Even our video games, from a consumer perspective, like we didn't think when we were little it could be anything more better than Atari or Nintendo. And then and then so as consumers, we're always being fascinated by newer technology or newer availabilities that are out there.
Right.
So if we're fascinated by this platform X, why wouldn't a company use
I've
it?
never been that guy. I'm slowly trying to bridge that gap. And,
What, with the technological?
Yeah, actually, I meant to give props to Casey Haugen on air for nudging me towards the Instagram. Because of his push. I've recently got on that as well, and I get another platform.
Instagram, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna try to sit in as a guest on one of the technical shows and just say, listen, I don't understand like taking a picture, and then the only thing I don't understand about social media is there's gotta be some creativity. What drives me nuts as a consumer. Maybe I look at it too much as a business perspective, but if you post it on one, it goes to all three.
Right.
So then when you check all three, it's the same message. You know,
it cheapens it a little bit. Yeah,
I try to
add that creativity.
Business-wise, I try to keep it. Some of them are the same,
right?
But you got to have a balance. And again, it's how you want to be portrayed. But let's take a couple seconds to talk about the self-acclaimed cigar rock stars. Right, I don't want to throw out anybody's names because I don't want to give anybody love.
They're out there. They're out there. Yeah.
But like people, like I get hit up by people. This is all pre-Stogie Geeks, right? Yeah. Let alone being on Stogie Geeks, right? They make their way to I'm sure they're googling Joe Hollywood and getting nothing, right? For those of you who didn't pay attention to my real last name, but and then they find me and then like they're like self-proclaimed internet. Help me. I'm trying to be.
I like the Rockstar. That's So
like you know what I mean? Like
Cigar World
I don't know, and then you get the Facebook picture of the foot of what they're smoking. That drives me bananas.
Yep.
Consumer wise, you know what I mean? At least get a little creative. But I can tell you that we have to do it as co-hosts here on Stogie Geeks. Some co-hosts are better than others when it comes to that, right?
Yep.
Where we in the next segment we're going to take time out and obviously talk about the sticks of the week.
Right.
Well, I take a picture of the sticks of the week. Like how many times can I, some of them are cool. They're on a golf course because I happen to do that. But some of them are like, okay, like
there he is, guys. I know that chair. I know that setting. This guy haven't moved from the seat.
Right? And the funny thing is, because I'll be honest with you, what goes on in my head is when I take a picture of the cigar, right?
Yep.
I go off and like, all right, do I want to get creative? Some of them I have. Like,
you incorporate the mug, maybe the hair.
I've picked a couple. No, I'm not. See, that's because I'm not a self-proclaimed rock star. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not. That's not.
You can be a roadie.
I am certainly not a roadie. You know what I mean?
Ground level.
I don't know. I just like. What are your thoughts about that from a consumer behavior perspective? I'm
still kind of finding my way, but try to be as creative as possible. Avoid the redundancy and. It definitely has a place. I'm enjoying it, even at the the ground level that I'm at. I'm still trying to work my way through, but it's another resource.
Yeah.
Why not use it? It's at our disposal.
Yeah, there's no doubt that social media is definitely here to stay. There's no doubt that if a new cigar were to come up, say in 2018 IPCPR, or a new company or a new blend were to come out in 2018 IBCPR, we're going to hear about it on Facebook or whatever the next platform is.
Actually, that's a great topic. So a lot of these new cigars that, they hit the ground running in the IPCPR, we know about them first 6-8 months, even a year in advance through social media, get that hype train moving. We see, the movie business. You have to get the ball rolling at some point. The later out that you can do it, build that following and the interest. So when the stick actually shows up and it lands, there's now pouring for it. People want it. They're excited. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think it's fun. It's fun.
I agree. Yeah. What I like when they go to an event like an IPCPR, or I know. Drew just had the
Bond
the Bond thing in Louisiana, right? I knew from Facebook, and again, I like the idea of we can now view phone, tablet, whatever electronic extravaganza that we use to see an event that would take place that we would never be at.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
Like, if you don't have the luxury to go to an IPCPR, I love to see the booths. You know what I mean? I think that some booths are really more creative than others. I don't think a tablecloth with some boxes does the trick for me. But, if any cigar companies need some advice, Joe H at StogieGeeks.com. I'll put my I'll put my 2 cents in there for sure.
Maybe even 3. I don't know.
No, because think about it. Like, but I'm sure like that's their platform. That's like the launching pad of the industry. It's
Absolutely.
always been.
Yep.
It's a fascinating show, and I love the idea that via social media, us consumers can now get into the brand. For sure. I just think it's phenomenal. I think it's only going to get better.
Yep.
And I think the more creative that the company decides to be. But I'm surprised that, X person wasn't at a plantation and didn't think that like a 1-minute Facebook Live video wouldn't get whatever percentage of their likes is or however or views and stuff like that.
That's certainly a question we could pose to any guest that comes on in the industry. Do they shade towards, as far as, reps and brokers and within the business, maybe they shade towards larger personalities just because the hype train and, the trends that we're heading towards right now, bigger the better, and you want that excitement following the brand.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, you need that excitement, especially with you have FDA. And all of that obstacle that the companies have to go through and consider going through and having a uncertain future. It's a challenge, but, again, you can definitely you cannot deny that social media has been a definite game changer for that.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to add?
Pretty much, that's a thorough segment right there.
I think so. If you're listening to this show and you know of any social media sites that you think that I should check out, and if you find one of a plantation, email Joe H at StogieGeeks.com. Coming up next, we got the Sticks of the Week. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Sticks of the Week segment. I am your host this week, Joe Hozempa. This is episode 250 for Stogie Geeks. It's a milestone. Congratulations to Paul Azdorian and his staff. They do a great job, the production crew, everything for keeping this going here. This is the Sticks of the Week section. I'm your host, Joe. I am here with Joe, who's back in studio, and we have some sticks that we are going to review for you, so we hope you enjoy them. Any feedback you want to give back on some of the sticks, all you got to do is email joeh@stogiegeeks.com, and I'll get back to you for sure.
Beautiful. I'm going to start with a banger right out of the gate.
I expected you to have like 28 smokes to go for this segment.
I got quite a few. I'm backfilled for a little bit.
There you go.
Nat Sherman, 1930, New York. The Super Lancero, 8x38. Dominican wrapper and binder, Dominican and Nicaraguan filler. Price point at $15. Packs of 10, 6 different sizes. However, this Super Lancero is right in my wheelhouse. Absolutely phenomenal smoke. Nuttiness, cocoa, and a little bit of mild spice. Amazing 2 hours plus, medium strength. Came available in 2014, limited production at the Caseta factory, and this is an absolute fight Chuck Norris for me all day. Nat Sherman, 1930, New York. I don't know if you have had a chance to smoke this one in particular?
Yes, yeah. But what I like about most of the Nat Shermans, I've always said this description.
Classy, old school feel.
Old school tobacco, crispness on the palate. You know, there's probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 cigars that I can say have a crispness on the palate.
Yep.
One of them obviously being Avo.
Oh, yeah.
The older, the Avo Classics, for sure. Even some of the new stuff there has a crispness on the palate. I almost said Christmas. Oh my God! Right?
I'll get into that in a minute.
Oh, really? And then also, I would definitely put the Nat Shermans in that category for sure.
Yeah, I absolutely love this stick, and tripped over it randomly in a shop. I have yet to find it again. We have to seek outside of the retail shops to find it because it's that good. It's beyond enjoyable.
What was it again for the listeners?
The Nat Sherman 1930 New York Super Lancero.
Yeah, Lance, you can't go wrong with Lanceros either. You know,
Chuck Norris is catching beating on that one.
Nice, nice. I had the Viaje White Label Project GP 1031, which is often called the Ghost Pepper from Viaje. This came in a figurado format. The size, you like that, right? The size was 4 7/8 by 50. Wrapper is a Nicaraguan Criollo. Binder and filler are both Nicaraguan. On a scale of 1 to 10, complexity I gave it a 7. Flavor I gave it a 7, and balance I gave it an 8. The GP 1031 Ghost Pepper hit the shelves for the retail markets just before Halloween of this year. Viaje comes up with my words, not theirs, a spooky series.
Okay.
Right? Because they have another Halloween version there. Yep. So over there, this series came out in 2015 with the release of the Viaje Jalapeno. Then shortly after that, they had the Viaje Ghost Pepper. What to expect from those two smokes, and I'm bringing up those two smokes for a reason. Because what to expect from the Viaje Jalapeno and the Viaje Ghost Pepper is you have hints of chocolate with a touch of black pepper. Totally present right there. But what I did notice is that the white label series of this Viaje Ghost Pepper tend to be really toned down compared to the original two.
Okay.
So if you find them,
positively, negatively, where are we at?
It's just toned down.
Different.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed the Viaje Jalapeno. I really, really enjoyed the Viaje Ghost Pepper. The jalapeno has the little figurado shape. It's got a green cap. Ghost Pepper has a red cap. This Halloween edition, the G1031.
Yep.
I'm sorry, the GP 1031. For its GP stands for Ghost Pepper 1031. When it came out, it's part of the white label series. I'm starting to separate the white label series when I'm doing some of my critiques there, because they just seem to be a little bit toned down. Not in a negative way. Just I enjoyed the ghost pepper better.
How do those flavors play? Were they smooth?
Oh, absolutely, positively smooth. Nice. It's a phenomenal smoke. But having smoked the other ones, I'm kind of leaning towards the other one. But like for example, I would
smoked enough of the entire line, so
right. I usually can't go 3 out of 4 episodes a month. I do mention that this brand, I am a fan of it. But the Viaje Ghost Pepper, I would absolutely positively give that box split, box worthy, awesome. This GP Ghost Pepper 1031, the white label series, I did bump it down to a 5er just because it's just, I'm used to the stronger component. But yeah, if you see it around, get it. Like I said, it comes around Halloween. It's limited edition. Right. It's a good stick. But they do come out. It's limited edition that they come out with every year. Right. So there you go. That was the Viaje white label GP 1031 Ghost Pepper.
Nice.
And by the way, if you want to check these out, everything I just said is on StogieGeeks.com. Just click on the Stogie section. You can see a picture of it, and away you go.
Nice. Next for me was the Avo Synchro. I smoked the Toro size, 6x54, Ecuadorian wrapper, Dominican binder, Dominican and Nicaraguan filler. $10 price point, box of 20. There's 4 different sizes. I really enjoyed this stick. Stopped me in my tracks. Get back to Christmas a second ago. The initial smoking experience reminded me of Christmas. It was maybe the first quarter in, and it stopped me in my tracks. I wanted to see where this thing went, and I happen to really enjoy Avos. I don't smoke enough of them, but I'm normally in that Fagata, Domain kind of realm. Those are my go-tos. This is definitely in the go-to moving forward. Notes of leather, sweetness, and minerals. I'm wondering if the mineral notes, maybe that's where I'm picking up the. It just reminded me of Christmas out of the gate. I don't know. This is the first regular production Avo to be box pressed, coming out of the Davidoff factory in Geneva, and this is a box worthy stick for me. The Avo Synchro, awesome stick.
Yeah, I do know.
It eluded me to this point. I don't know why. With a good buddy of mine, is an Avo nut, and he put me on it last night, matter of fact, and awesome. Yeah. I couldn't wait to talk about it today.
Right. On a side note, if you're just tuning in to just this segment of the episode, I mentioned in the previous segment a lot of hype, social media with Nicaragua and all of that hype. If you missed it, just go to StogieGeeks.com. You can check out the whole episode within its entirety. But, it's amazing when you have classic facings that might not have been known for the past hundreds years for that region. Right. And then all of a sudden,
on the map,
they start doing in that region. And some classic facings did not do that with success. But I think Avo, right out of the gate, really has that home down.
And he has so many sticks on the line, but I really feel most, if not all, stand alone on their own. There's, each blend synonymous with certain flavors and a different experience, and solid price point and picture consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had a bunch of them. Great golf smoke or fishing. It's portable. It's box pressed, right?
Box pressed.
Yep, it's box pressed, right?
Effortless draw.
Right. So the Ritmo is a different discussion because that cigar's
different animal altogether.
That's like a crazy chicken. It's all over the place. You know what I mean? In a good way.
I feel like you should be seatbelted in when you have that one. You're going for a ride.
It's like I always tell people, did you eat? You know what I mean? Like, well, what is it with you and food? No, I'm just saying you might want to eat when you're smoking this. It's not like the other ones.
Get something in the tank beforehand.
And you gotta love the consumer. I'm not really tasting. What is my tasting? There's there's a bunch of stuff going on in there.
You're all over the place. Absolutely.
For sure. Keeping on the Halloween spooky theme, I had this year's edition of the Viaje Full Moon. So the Viaje Full Moon 2017. This came in a size of a Torpedo Goro. I'm sorry. Let me start. Toro Gordo, right? The size is a Toro Gordo. The wrapper is a Nicaraguan Criollo. The binder and filler are both Nicaraguan. Complexity, I gave this a 7. Flavor, I gave this a 9. Like flavor, scale of 1 to 10.
Nice.
Balance, I gave it an 8. Right.
Yep.
This year's release, they come in slightly different sizes year over year, but this year's release is a 5x58 Nicaraguan Puro with a Corojo wrapper. The starting first third, you have a blast of black pepper and some spice. Now hold on to that thought, the some spice, because there is a point to me making a point of what I'm saying, okay? Then once the first third of the cigar really gets going, a sweetness comes out with the spice.
With the spice.
Okay, so you have, first third, you get a blast of black pepper, you get some spice in there.
Yep.
I can't articulate what I'm tasting, but it's good, right? It's black pepper and spice. Then once it gets going, the black pepper subsides, you get a sweetness and spice. And then towards the end, this is the killer, right? It's an interesting smoke, right? You get definitely sweet flavors of cocoa and leather all day. I'm really starting to pull that out of my palate.
Nice.
You know, from being here and to really starting to do that. You get some coffee notes, and then it kicks in with the original spice.
I'm hearing is a phenomenal transition.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, by the description, you might not like the rating, right? So the description, but that is what it was like. If you ever want to have a smoke where you could if you're trying to develop your palate and go through transitions.
Good point. Yep.
This is a stick for you, right?
They're all those flavors are gonna be popping.
Yeah, all
sure
those
enough.
flavors popping because it gets that black pepper. Boom, the Nicaragua. You know you're smoking a Nicaraguan cigar. You get some spice in there. You really can't hone down what that spice is. Then you come back.
Yep.
Then you have a little bit of cocoa, and you get okay, great. And then towards the end, you get I'm trying to think of it. Yeah, I did a V cut. Yeah, because it was 58 ringgit. I did a V cut, and then I started getting the leather component, and then I got the original spice back with the leather component. It was good. It was really good. However, I did like the previous years better.
Okay.
So that being said, I only gave it a 5. I know I gave a most elaborate description, but if you ever wanted the chance, you know, if you have it, you know, just make sure you ask you'll know the difference if it's this year's or last year's, because last year's has 60 ring gauge and this year's had 58 ring gauge, which I don't really like. The 58 was a little too big for me too.
Right.
But again, it's a good smoke. Definitely, if you find it, give it a try. It was a good way to celebrate Halloween, I guess. I did take a picture of it. It's on StogieGeeks.com under the Stogie Geeks section. That was the Viaje Full Moon 2017.
Nice. Next for me was the CYB by Haugen de Nicaragua. Hopefully I'm pronouncing this right. Cuenca y Blanco. Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, Dominican binder, Nicaraguan and Peruvian filler. Smoked the Torpedo 6 1/4 by 54. $10 price point, box of 21 with 6 sizes. Solid flavors in the stick and complexity. Wood, cedar, spice, a little bit of that leather note in there. Medium plus in strength, I'd say, was released in 2012. The blender Alejandro Martinez Cuenca. I give it a box split, and it's certainly a stick I'd come back to. Mm-hmm. The CYB by Haugen de Nicaragua.
Do you get that locally, like a local? I'm trying to picture the label.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
You know what? I thought about this last night. I can't remember where I grabbed it. It was one of the local shops. Somebody had put it on me, and I'd never reached out for it previously, but it was solid.
Mm-hmm. You don't remember where you got it?
Might come back to me during the show here, but
take a picture of it.
Most of the time I do. Yeah. Not that we're doing a good.
Just text me. I
don't post on the show.
Right. Yeah. That is true. Right. We got to get you to. That's it's one of our goals for 2018.
Absolutely.
Is for you to get caught up with the electronic, because it's all Joe's post. They want Joe D's post, too.
I know. I'll give it to them.
You know what I mean?
Going to give the people what they're asking for. I'm going to stay in the Haugen de Nicaragua family with the Antonio 1970. Nicaraguan Habano Criollo wrapper, Nicaraguan Habano binder and filler. Nice price point of $6. I'd smoked the 6x60, the Magnum 660 it's called. Pepper throughout, earth, leather, some floral notes. Minor lighting issues for me, but it was still great smoke. It didn't detract from it at all. Full strength. The True Estate handles the distribution on this stick, and it's the oldest cigar company still in production in Esteli, Nicaragua. I also gave this a box split. Haugen de Nicaragua, Antonio, 1970.
Haugen de Nicaragua, Antonio. Okay, I'm just trying to label. I'm going.
It's one of
the label. What's the label look like?
One of the oldest. It's got the tobacco leaf, green band.
I got it. Yep,
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, like a real dark, meaty,
Did you find that?
meaty kind of
I was
stick.
gonna say, did you find that meaty and bitey? Did you?
I found it was a strong stick, not offensive by any means.
But it
tons
is
of
full.
flavor.
It is full. Yep.
Yeah, tons of flavor and complexity bouncing around, and it was a full stick.
Yep.
Again, after a meal.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't start the
Antonio,
morning with
silver
that.
label, silver outline. No, not silver, gold outline. Antonio own black background, maybe. No. Anyway, I digress. No, we're good.
Yeah, ish.
Ish. Yeah. Yep. I've had that. Yeah, absolutely. I had the EP Carrillo Edición Limitada 2013.
Nice.
Paul got his hands on this.
Yep.
Format there was a Toro Gordo. The size was 6 1/8 by 54. Wrapper is Mexican San Andreas. Binder is Brazil and from Nicaragua. Filler is Nicaraguan. The date that this was released, according to some research, was October 2013. They come in boxes of 20. They had 1,500 boxes, total of 30,000 cigars.
This must have been smoking right 4 years after the fact.
Yeah, Paul had mentioned this a couple of Stogie Geeks episodes back. If you were here, you would have been able to say, "Oh yeah, it's two something," right? Is the episode number. Right? But Paul had mentioned that there. Finally got around to having a chance to actually try this. Complexity scale of 1 to 10, I gave it an 8. Flavor bomb, gave it a 9. Balanced cigar is balanced, but then again, you are talking. I gave it an 8, but you are talking about a cigar that had the chance to rest.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It had a chance to rest. He picked these up. The EP Criollo, the EP Carrillo Edición Limitada 2013 starts out with a pretty good earthy note, along with some flavors of a little bit of espresso, some I couldn't quite put my hand on it. I would say it's chocolate-esque there. According to some other reviews, what I was looking for was dark chocolate, right? There. Then leather kicks in. Really awesome component that really adds to the cigar. Only slight hints of pepper or spice within the first third, both throughout the mouth and through the retrohale. I try to judge it through both. The final 2/3 is amazing. I mean, you get some sweetness, creamy, dominant notes of leather. Absolutely, positively awesome stick. I did give it a box split. And the only reason why I gave it a box split is because I didn't want to send the Stogie Geeks listener on a wild goose chase. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because if I turn around and say box worthy, and then they can't get the boxes, then they email joe@stogiegeeks.com.
The hate mail
I get hate
poison.
mail.
Yeah.
I did get some email. I love the listeners who just say bragging rights, and they'll email me a picture of either stuff that I've had.
Yep.
Some listeners will tell me that great review. I've had it because of you. Others have said that I might not know some cigars. But
Tough
some
to
of them,
find on our end, but they happen to we sent out a couple boxes at home. Here
but I do enjoy the emails when they come in for sure.
Yep.
Someone showed me a sampler pack that they had picked up. Bragging rights. I didn't get a chance to respond yet. I've been prepping for this show and whatnot, but it's good to have that dialogue there. But I did give it a box split. And the only reason why I gave it a box split is because I was looking out for you, the listener, and I didn't want to send you out on a wild goose chase. Now, if you find a box, I mean, split it with a friend, get your allowance, rebudget some stuff.
Could Joe H be that friend?
Yeah. Stogie Geek, email it to yeah, right. For sure, it's just a great stick there. Again, like I said, the only reason why I did give it a box split was because of that. It's a great stick. It was the EP Criollo Edición Limitada 2013. Again, took a picture of it. It's on StogieGeeks.com.
Nice. Next for me was the Winston Churchill Checkers, Ecuadorian sun-grown Connecticut wrapper, Dominican binder and filler, 5.5 by 46 Corona Gorda. $12 to $15 price point, 4 sizes, and 25 count. For me, nuttiness and leather, that was the predominant flavors. Checkers, of course, named after Winston Churchill's country home in, country home. In medium plus in strength, made it Davidoff. I gave it a 5. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't, for me, it wasn't more than that. I know there's a ton of hype behind it as well. Actually, a local shop put me on that not too long ago as well. But Winston Churchill Checkers.
I've never had that stuff.
Okay.
I couldn't even. And it's available at a local shop?
Yeah, it's like a maroon label. We've got it next door here.
Okay.
Actually, I think it was next door that put me on it. Yeah, Davidoff production. I personally was expecting a little bit more surrounding the hype, but for me, just a 5.
It did get a lot of hype behind it.
It did, yeah. It was
clearly not on social media getting.
No, not at all. Not existent.
Right.
No,
yeah.
just the hype within the shops.
Sure.
Shops, some of the magazines, you see it out there. Mm-hmm. But then again, big company, you could pay for the advertisement.
Do people thumb through those anymore?
I do, time to time.
The magazines?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Not too often. Going to be pretty bored and not much else going on.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I'm in the phone like anybody else, checking fantasy football and whatever.
Yeah, no. I'm usually working or doing something like that. But yeah, it's Winston Churchill Checkers.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Cool.
I'll check it out. I'm sold to check it out. But especially if you've had it and, begin there. And
yeah, I'm curious to see
maybe we'll
where
get
you're
Paul's opinion on a future episode and stuff like that,
That was actually one of the sticks I was curious. If he was on today, I was going to ask him.
What size
where is that? It's the 5.5 by 46 Corona Gorda.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Cool. So,
what else you got?
Next for me, Arturo Fuente Casa Cuba, Florafina, Ecuadorian Havana wrapper, Dominican binder, Cuban seed, Dominican fillers, $9 to $10 price point, 4 sizes. I smoked the double Cinco 5x50, wood creaminess and subtle tobacco flavor. Mild medium stick. For me, it slightly missed the mark in the strength of flavor, but I still gave it a box split. It was I know you happen to be a Fuente guy. I'm sure you've smoked many of these. Mm-hmm. But I still gave it a box split. It was enjoyable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't go too wrong with
no, it's pitcher consistency as well.
Too mild for you, or?
I think it was. Yeah, I wanted, probably at the time, not saying no, your strength profile is always in one particular place, but at that time when I smoked it, I was expecting a little bit more. I just wanted a little bit more out of it. But it did the job. Very flavorful. And Arturo Fuente Casa Cuba Florafina.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. You have any more?
Got one more.
All right, I have one more too, so you can go.
No, actually, that was it. That was
it?
Yeah, that was 7 right there.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, no, I do have one more.
I thought you did.
Yeah. The Quesada Oktoberfest 2017.
Ooh, this is going to be a discussion.
With the white band with the German colors prominently displayed. Nicaraguan Puro wrapper, Nicaraguan binder and filler. I smoked the 6x56 triple block. Not the size I migrate to. happened to be there on the shelf. I smoked, plenty of Oktoberfest in the past.
Last year's label had a blue.
Blue, yeah.
This year's label had a white. I think it's great when they switch.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't care if they toggle back and forth, but you can remember
You
that.
want to be able to distinguish between it and the small format Oktoberfest. I'm enjoying the hell out of those right now as well. But it was the last one on the shelf. Local shop scooped it up. $9.50 price point. Box of 24 with 6 sizes. It was the triple box, the 6x56. Minimal change throughout for me. I was able to pick up earth, cedar, and tobacco flavors. Medium full. It's other reviews had notes of chocolate on board. I wasn't able to pick that out at all. The Nicaraguan Puros made by Plasencia Factory in Nicaragua. I gave this a try one.
Really?
Try one.
I'm looking up my.
It was
I think
a
I reviewed this on the website on Stogie Geeks, so that's what I'm doing. But keep talking.
That's not familiar. It was a 2+
Boy, it must be a
hour
host thing. I'm starting to sound like Paul. Keep talking.
2+ hour stick. I was probably one of the first times ever I was bored with the stick. I had to put it down.
Really?
There was about a quarter left. I normally love to finish it all the way through, and try to reach for that fingertip burner and see if there's any other flavors to pull throughout. I just no mas. I couldn't do anymore. I tapped out. I tapped out. Give it a try one. Certainly give it a whack. I'd like to try some of the other sizes to see if it plays a little bit better.
Okay. Jumping on that, I did have it and I did post it. I posted it. If you want to see the visual of the stick, stogiegeeks.com. Click on Stogies. It's on page 2. Maybe the staff can show me how to pull it up by name quicker while I'm on the set off here. But I posted it on September 25th, 2017. I did 2017 Quesada Oktoberfest. I had the Kaiser Ludwig, which was a size 6x49.
Okay.
So I had a slightly smaller ring gauge.
Yep.
Okay. Wrapper, binder, filler. You gave the description.
Yep.
Complexity, scale of 1 to 10, I gave it an 8. Flavor, I gave it a 7. Balance, I gave it a 7. I put in my notes, I was experiencing a more medium to full. Oh, I was expecting. Oh, wow, I should probably boost that up. I was expecting a more medium to full cigar, like in the past editions.
Gotcha. Right.
Which was one of my questions. I was going to ask you. Have you ever had a past edition Quesada Oktoberfest?
Probably 50 of them.
Okay.
I love them. Yeah.
So you've had last year's.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and let me ask you this question: you've had the year before?
I have.
Okay, well, we're going to table that discussion for a second, right? The stick played at a solid medium body and medium strength, but make no mistake, it's got flavor. So that's how I described it. And I guess what I was trying, and the rating I gave it. How do I figure out the rating? Hold on. I gave it a 5.
Okay.
And you gave it a try one. Maybe it's because the size.
In that particular size, I think it was the size.
Sure.
For the most part for me, because too much information there. But history, TMJ, the lockjaw, that particular size kills me.
Yeah.
I feel like the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz needing the oil can. Don't hinge the jaw afterwards.
Sure. I've noticed from my experience here being co-host of Stogie Geeks, I've used to gravitate towards some of the bigger sizes. I never was really. Some of the 60s I liked, you know what I mean? But I gravitate towards the smaller sizes. There is a shop locally that does have all of the sizes left because they got a double batch of what they were supposed to. And so, again, they blew out of them, and then they have more. And now with the other stuff that comes in, here we go, classic case of the wave, right?
Yep.
They're after the Halloween stuff, and then we after the Christmas edition or whatever new comes out and stuff like that. But if you ever want to try a small size, let me know.
Absolutely.
I think you'd like it, but it's tough when you come out with a cigar on a yearly basis. Right?
Yep.
And all the preparation and rest time and everything it takes to have a cigar. But you can't help as a consumer to compare it to last year's edition.
Of course.
Right? It happens, right?
That's my fault for expecting too much, expecting previous offerings and that same kind of flavor profile and that that strength in the flavor. I really enjoy that out of previous.
Right, but but that's how consumers are, and rollers and manufacturers of cigar must know that that's how consumers are because they're consumers themselves. But again, even in my description, I was expecting a full-bodied cigar, and I got a medium cigar.
Right.
So that tells me that this year's edition, compared to last year's edition, seems to be a little bit toned down. Now, I remember smoking Quesada Oktoberfest. Off the top of my head, might be 3 years ago, could be 4, and it was crazy strong.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
like, I mean, it was like, whoa, okay, this is,
Right.
and it went phenomenal with Guinness. You know what I mean? I guess it kind of slowed it down.
Yep, yeah, I can see that'd be a perfect pairing.
Or toned it down, I would imagine that if you have an Oktoberfest, and if you pair it with some sort of a porter from a beer perspective, it would be pretty cool.
Right.
You know what I mean? At least to my palate. You know what I mean? It depends on what I'm really experiencing at the time. So if I want it strong, or if I want it strong, a little bit kind of subdue the palate or make the palate not jump out as much there.
How about the 17? What would you reach for?
That would be
pairing?
That would be this year. Yeah, we're in 2017. See how I am with time? I'm like so back. People are like, you don't even know what year it is. It's like, well, if you do everything you love every day, you're
That's
good,
it.
right?
Time stands still.
It's just, but 2017 pairings wise, see, you could get away. See, if it was last year's 2016 or 2015, I would say coffee maybe. You know what I mean? But this year it's toned down. Now, would love to get Quesada in here and or a roller and get him for an interview and just say, hey, by the way, was it a crop thing or was it a choice in the blend?
I'd love to know. Maybe we can work on that.
You know what I mean? Was it a choice thing or was it a blend? That being said, you don't even have to worry about pairing as opposed to some of the previous editions. But again, I'd probably do a Guinness because I would most likely have it in the afternoon. I might do like a bourbon. You know what I mean? Like maybe not to throw out brands, but this ain't a bourbon show, so maybe like a Bullet bourbon. I've been digging the Jameson Caskmates, but I never paired it with a Quesada. When I had the Quesada, when I first had it, I had it in the morning at a client's, and coffee was fine. You know what I mean? But again, I expected it to be a little bolder.
I'm expecting
from
Paul to have
previous editions.
a higher rating than we put forth. Just seemingly his profile within that mix. I want to ask him next week, see where he's at. I got to get that feedback.
Yeah, it's a good smoke. I mean, it's a good smoke. If you see it, definitely Joe gave it a try one. I gave it a 5-er. If you see it, you got to have it. Going back to previous editions, I liked it a little bit better for sure.
Absolutely.
It was interesting. Yeah, I was looking up because I knew I had it.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what I did with it. Okay, so my stick I had, the last one I guess we're talking about today, is the Tatuaje Reserva. I had the Robusto. That size is 5.5 by 50. Wrapper is Connecticut broadleaf with Ecuadorian Habano. Binder and filler is Nicaraguan. Complexity, I gave it a 7. Flavor, I gave it a 7. Balance, I gave it an 8. Really good smoke, right? Dry wrapper. Just really, really good smoke. I had it for review before, and I had a Robusto. I took a picture of it, put it on stogiegeeks.com, go into the Stogie section. I actually had it on the golf course, constructed amazing, good portable stick there. The sizes, when I did some research, it's available in 7 different sizes. One of them is little cigarellos as well, but it's available in a Corona, Robusto, Toro, Bellicoso, Churchill, Gordo, in the cigarellos. I've had it in the Corona, Robusto, Toro. Right? Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily one of my go-to sticks, but if I see it, I definitely grab one.
It's a solid stick.
It's solid stick, especially if you do activities with cigar smoking and stuff like that. It's a great stick for you to enjoy. That being said, what to expect? It's a robust medium to full body blend that is leathery in character.
Oh yeah.
And it has you do taste that earthy, woody pepper right on the finish, right out of the gate. The earthiness does increase during the first half of the cigar. The body of the cigar, it's a classic medium there. It's got some spiciness that towards the end, it gets a little stronger. Yep. In spiciness, which you know, sometimes it kind of mellows out to me. With the Robusto, it just developed into a really good spice, kind of like the spice you would get almost in the beginning.
For me, it's tailor-made for the golf course.
And I didn't smoke it backwards.
Strict route.
Right? So, right. You know, just so anybody emails
Put
me.
those emails away right now.
Just smoke it backwards, right? Right? So, yeah. The rating, I gave it a 5. You know? Because if you see them,
right.
they're good smokes. They're good smokes to have. The awesome construction.
I'm on board with that 5. The exception, 5 to box split during golf season. Smoke a few more of them, but yeah, right there.
Yeah. In regards to that stick, that was called the Tatuaje Reserva, and again, took a picture of it, put it on StogieGeeks.com. Check it out, Joe D. It's good to have you back.
Always a pleasure, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Bill.
This was episode 250 of Stogie Geeks. I want to say again, congratulations to Paul and the staff for keeping this going. It's like I said, it was a privilege and an honor to host the show today for episode 250. Please, if you have an email, joeh@stogiegeeks.com, and log on to our social media pages because we do have some big announcements that should be coming up within the next 3 to 6 weeks. And that's 3 to 6 weeks cigar time, so we don't know, right? Yeah. So until next week, take